Liftoff.
All right. So, this was Jared's pick, right?
Yeah, that's Jared's
The
pick.
Legend of 1800.
All because of one piece of music.
It's 1900.
Or 1900. Holy crap. I'm still saying
The
1800.
Legend
of
I just
1900.
watched it, and I'm still saying 1800.
Because
The
1800 would be
Legend
like
of
about the Old West, right?
1900. Right. So let's get into it. We all watched it. When did everybody watch it?
Today?
Today?
I
Yeah,
watched
me and
it,
Rob
like-
watched it today.
I watched it like pretty much in the middle of last week, like so. I got this one early a little bit.
Okay. When did you watch it, Jared?
I think I rented it Saturday night.
Yeah, it was like 2 days before I watched it. I feel like I remember.
So, initial thoughts, Jared. This is your pick. We'll kick it off with you. What are your initial thoughts on that? Yeah, and by the way, this is a first time watch for all of us, ain't it? No one
Yeah,
here
all
saw
of
it.
us.
Okay,
This is my first time watch.
same here.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
all right, Jared.
30-second backstory why we picked this. Last week, David picked 7 pounds. There was a song in there that really grabbed my attention. I found out it was from another movie. I wanted to know more of the backstory of this song, especially when I heard that the soundtrack won best soundtrack for that year. So that's why I picked it, and without seeing it. And like the rest of the guys, I had no idea what to expect other than what we saw in the trailer. It kind of looked like Titanic in a way or something. Last thing I expected was like a whimsical fairy tale with musical numbers, which is pretty much what it was, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I'm sitting there watching it, and it's like I'm thinking this has the cadence like their speech, like from like a 60s musical. That's kind of weird. And then I'm like, oh, they're gonna break in a song. They just broke in a song. Like, is the whole movie gonna have this? And then there was the scene later on with the sliding piano, and it was like, what have I gotten the guys into? It's like
I'm sure we're gonna get into some bad stuff eventually.
I don't mind musicals, but I know they're not everybody's thing. I actually enjoy them, but yeah, I feel like it took a turn after that. Kind of became a different movie. Either that, or I just kind of stopped worrying. And all in all, I feel like this movie is the reason why I am constantly searching, looking on the internet, finding good reviews for albums, for artists, for movies, because for like every 50 that you watch or listen to, you're like, okay. There's one that like you're like, oh, okay, like this is good,
Yeah.
So obviously I really liked it. So I'm glad I picked it. And if you guys didn't like it, then sorry, not sorry.
Well, either way, it was a cool reason to pick it.
Yeah. The only regrets I have are I mean, this has nothing to do with the movie, but I wish I would have known this movie earlier, because my grandmother, who really inspired me to like listen to music and stuff, she would have just loved this movie. And she's passed away now, but I wish I could show her like that. That would be so cool.
It did seem kind of old timey, didn't it?
It did.
The structure, I mean, the
Yeah,
way
we're
the
talking
film was
about
approached.
How movies seem dated, and it's like this is a 90s film, but
1999.
it was dated enough that it felt like a 60s musical in some
Like
ways.
a 50s almost, like the way, like even 30s, like honestly, like the way that they approached the structure of the film itself, like the way that it unfolded and like what the hooks were and stuff, they felt, old timey, like old fashioned, and not in a way that I'm being disparaging. I'm not like, man, it felt really old. Like, it's not what I'm saying. It just felt like a different, maybe that's just like European cinema.
I was wondering that if it was like an
You know?
intentional design they were going after, or if that's just the way movies were there.
And also, yeah, American cinema is like probably just diverged so far from classic cinema.
Mm-hmm.
Like what we think of as American cinema has become its own complete like branch of that tree that we just have completely forgotten. That's what I got. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I was like watching this, I was like, God, this feels like old in a way that's like this is right after film got to put, you got to put a camera in front of people giving a play. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, this is like what the birth of film almost feels like when you do
Right.
sound and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I had the same thoughts. I'm like, is this an intentional feel?
it might just be
Right.
cultural.
Or just
It might not have just diverged from film so far as we have,
I haven't seen a lot of Italian films, so especially from the 90s. So
But even something like Amelie comes to mind, which is French, but it still has, like, it feels that way,
yeah,
right?
Mhm.
Like,
yeah, right.
I don't know.
yeah. My other regret is that nobody will probably ever watch this podcast because nobody's going to be searching for people talking about.
The Legend of 1900.
But it's fun for
That's
me.
not
So
true.
what do I care?
That's not true. Europeans will search for this podcast.
Dude, you never know. Yeah, like, I've listened to podcasts before. I listened to a lot of gaming podcasts, and I've totally, like, listened to the episodes about a game I'd never heard of and then went and played that game afterwards, So somebody
happens.
might go watch this after the fact. Like,
Right.
So 5 years later, this might be the topic of discussion.
that's like our
Hey,
listen.
that's right. Like, why is this video got 100,000 views right now?
I don't know.
Like, you just found it.
Probably nobody has ever done a podcast about it, honestly.
Everybody
Well,
talking French too. Like I
wouldn't
can't
go that
answer
far.
the question.
I mean, it won awards.
That's true.
So did this not remind you of the 35 years ago movie called Crossroads?
Oh, with the duel? Just the duel scene, yes.
Crossroads. I don't remember that one.
I thought you were
don't think
talking
I've
about the Britney Spears one.
Oh my
That's
gosh!
not 35 years old.
Stop! No,
I actually don't know what you're talking about.
seen it. No, I don't
It's got Ralph Macchio in it, and Steve Vai is the devil. He plays guitar.
oh my
Oh.
God! That's
Oh, that part.
Don't
Yeah.
take my
I remember
soul.
that scene. Yeah.
Well,
I know
don't-
because
Melts
it's
my
obviously
soul.
it's Ralph Macchio and Steve Vai both. Like, that's like, yeah, you kidding me? Like, how was I going to miss that movie? Like, never would have missed that. Like,
Anyways, I thought my initial thoughts. I'm gonna step in from my initial thoughts. My initial thoughts was like this was like a weaker version of what they was trying to do there, and I thought that because that movie's older, he kind of got that idea from this and kind of twisted it to make it some weird thing. To me, that movie was weird. It was a weird movie, period. And that's my initial thoughts. It was weird.
that's it.
That's
This,
it. It was
this
weird,
movie?
and I'm gonna tell you why it was weird all through the movie. It was just weird. I was like,
Right.
all right, that's kind of weird. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird too. But
I agree with that. It felt like a foreign film to me.
that the height of that scene was, instantly it took my mind to Crossroads, and I was like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? I just loved it. I love
That's a good duel, though.
Crossroads, but not this movie.
Yeah, the duel in Crossroads is really like, I mean, it feels like when you watch that duel, it feels like a AAA film climax
Yeah,
every time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're just like, dang, the camera work, the sound, like all of it. You're just like, this feels
Everything.
like a very high budget film right now. Like, and it's just
Even
them in
the
a
setup.
room. Like,
even the setup to it, like the setup,
even the
to that
setup to
moment.
it. Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
that movie's
Oh,
good. Damn. Okay.
Mhm.
Anyway, so is that it for your first thoughts then, or what? Or is Jared even done?
1900.
Yeah,
I'm done. I'm
Okay.
done.
All right.
Oh,
Is
well
it?
done.
All right. So my initial thoughts on this was that it was like, there was a lot of male emotion flying around in this movie, like a lot.
Mhm.
Like, in a way that I don't express emotion. So I was like really at arm's length from like the crux of what would make you feel something in this movie, right? Okay, first of all, that was my first thing. But then I could not shake how monumentally insane the soundtrack was every second it was on. Every second the soundtrack was on, it was completely brain-meltingly good. Like, every note was just right. Like, there were so many themes that I just like lost track. And I was like, I'm going to go back and listen to that. And Jared listened to the soundtrack today. That doesn't surprise me. That is something I will do. Like, I'll listen to the soundtrack for this movie, even if I don't ever watch this movie again. Like, it's not surprising at all that it won something. Like, every time I was like, oh, I don't like something, like, the soundtrack would kick in and fix it. I'd be like, I'm back, dude. This is like so good. Also, I guess, like, fun fact, like, Tim Roth doesn't know how to play the piano, even though he looked like it. He trained for 6 months to fake it. And the person that plays every piano piece in the film is the actor that plays Jelly Roll Morton.
Yeah.
That guy played every note you heard. And the same is actually true of Crossroads, Raheem. Every note you hear in that movie is Steve Vai, which is funny. Like, as you see Ralph Macchio doing the same thing. But Steve Vai playing everything in the movie. Yeah, so
That's interesting.
And it makes sense, bro. Like, who else Let's go.
That guy was nasty, dude. Whoever that actor is, I don't know who he was, but I know he's playing Joey Moten. But like, man, the second piece that he plays in that competition was like literally melting my head. I couldn't believe how good it was. Also, another fun fact: every time I listened to like one of the piano parts that was supposed to be really impressive, like as far as like the chords they were using, I had to keep being like, "Why does this all sound like Mario Brothers?" Like, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, it all sounded like Mario Brothers, and I'm like, the music's so good, but it has that thing whenever you're playing like, you know, Mario Sunshine and running through like Delfino Plaza or any of that stuff. It's all like gypsy jazz almost mixed with these really cool like fifths and sevenths sprinkled around, right? And it's an Italian film, and that's like the soundtracks for Mario Brothers is a Japanese take on Italian music. Like, it's like, right. I had to keep like remembering that, being like, this all sounds like Mario Brothers. Why? Like, in a good way. Every nasty Mario Brothers thing that I've ever loved is like in that movie, like dialed up, right?
And also put into account of the time it was at that time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you take that time and you take the movement that it was for Europeans coming over to America. You take all that and then the history of their music now put it into piano. Like, that was the theme of this whole movie to me, was their traditional music.
Totally. It's the Italian spin on rag music.
Yeah.
From that period.
Right.
It's totally what it sounds like. And it is awesome. It is I already love rag. Rag has the most swagger of any style, period. Like, you can't outdo it. You can't. It has so much swagger. And the Italian like spin on it is just so cool. Like, so I'm gonna get into my likes though. I don't want to do that. Like, I'm gonna stick to first impressions. The other thing is camera work was really deft. And some of the most impressive stuff to me was actually the sets. Almost every scene that wasn't like obviously CGI, I was like, how did they get cameras in here? Like, this is crazy. Some of like the piano flying around the room with the locks off, the brakes off. Like that, I was like, how did they shoot that?
Yep.
Like, how in the world did they shoot that? Like,
that was raw. I gotta admit that.
There are so many things that they did with the camera and sets combined that I was just like, this is an actual feat. Even if like the way the film is done, like dialogue wise, and like, you know, what you're supposed to be connected to is weird for me. Like, the rest of it was like pretty crazy. It just seemed like really over the top. It just felt like very like, I guess, Italian, you know, just like it has like that like panache that you would expect, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna stop it there though. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep going. So Dave, go ahead. I don't want to step on anybody else's stuff.
Initial thoughts. So I thought it was okay. If like I felt like every minute of this movie, like this felt like a 3-hour movie.
It was long, dude. I agree with that.
It felt long. Like, I don't know if it was just the pacing or whatever, but I was just like, man. I remember pausing it halfway through, and I was like, man, I'm only halfway through this right now.
I just wasn't connected to what was happening. It
didn't really draw me in at all, this movie. Yeah. That's one thing about it.
It's funny. I paused it, and I was like, oh, I'm only halfway through.
Yes, you loved it.
I was digging it.
Loved it. Damn. Okay.
I will admit though, I'm trying to. Well, I don't want to get into my likes too much. Yeah, I
already did it.
I mean, for a 19, I don't know. I mean, I guess there were some movies like that, but for a 1998 movie, I thought it was shot really well. Like the camera choices were like kind of surprised me that someone was thinking that of a creative mind.
Well, the way they would sweep at like almost like waist level sometimes. I'm like, that is so good. Why'd you do that there? It's so good.
There was a lot of cool shots for like this for a 90s film. It was really cool. And yeah, dude, the set pieces. That's like the scale of this movie was like really grandiose, and I liked it a lot. Like, everything felt huge. Like the ship there, all the sets of them like in the ship felt huge, and I loved it a lot. What else? Yeah, I thought the acting was okay. The music I thought was great. I did like the music a lot. I thought the music was great in it. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Before we start getting into
okay, here we go.
We'll just go right into. All right, so we'll kick it back to you, Jared.
Okay.
For the likes. We'll start with likes.
Go. Buckle in.
There are quite a few. So try to bomb through them.
Have at it.
So there was only that one musical number, but actually I felt like there was a second one, but you don't really notice it because there's a spoken word thing over it, and it's the scene where he's playing the piano and the old Italian guy comes in. He's got the accordion.
Yeah, her dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's speaking, and it reminded me of that "Your Most Valuable Possession" song. Is he where there's just a voiceover over piano? You have to. He took his dad's voicemail and just set it with music. And
I think it is just kind of noodling, right? It is like kind of just very chill and mellow, like the chords he's using right there.
And it was actually my favorite piece, I think.
Was it?
I went and listened to it. It's called, and I love the name of it too because it taught me something. I did not know what a nocturne was.
Oh yeah,
music. It is a musical piece mainly on piano that is kind of like based or inspired off the night. And this song was called "Nocturne with No Moon," and I'm like, wow, that is so Jared. It's like that's Batman, right? That's Batman. Minor chords and everything. Yeah, I was like, that's my jam. I love the duel. I think that it felt like a classic scene that should be referenced in pop culture. You know, like
it really should be. Because he's basically toying with him and kind of just making fun of him, but also just being blown away by how good he is. I love that he's sitting there being like, oh, this guy's really good. Don't you see that? Like, he's like trying to tell his friend's like, I have money writing on this. That whole thing. Yeah. Like that, the whole acting in that scene felt very like a foreign film to me. It didn't feel American at all. Like, you know what I mean? But like still, damn, dude, like him being like, oh, he's so good. But anyways, oh, he's going to be rude to me now. Oh, now he's rude to me after I think he's good. All right, I'll burn you in front of everyone. That's fine. Like, it's like so spicy, dude. Like,
great, you know, everything was said without saying a word. It just said through music. And I love it. I mean, there were words said, but it was mainly the one guy freaking out. His friend.
It was his buddy, the comic relief, right? Almost like.
And I mean, the whole thing with the cigar and all that stuff is just like, oh, that was so cool.
Oh, playing that impressively without jostling the piano enough to make the ashes fall.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's so extra.
That was pretty cool.
I was like, dude,
and then lighting it because it's a little cheesy, but still
because the strings are so hot.
Yep.
What's up, Naveen?
Pretty sweet. Yeah. I like the philosophical conversation at the very end and the idea that somebody who has been isolated and been in control of a confined area all his life might be really scared to like go out into the big world. Normally the story is somebody's like blind or hidden and all of a sudden it's like, oh, look at the beautiful world around me. But it might be more like that. Like it's just sensory overload. I don't think I can do this. I like what I got here, you know? So that was, I like that whole story. It's funny too that, you know, the world was so big, but it's so much bigger now. Like how much more does that make sense now?
I know. Could you imagine? Yeah, you totally. Know? Just the internet alone existing.
Okay. And then, so I need to get into the song that I picked this for, The Crisis. Yeah. This is why I'm glad that I watched a movie a few days before, because I really was like, okay, the piece is played twice in the movie. What are they trying to say? Like, why does it have that one sour note?
The crisis.
Yeah. It's when he's a kid and the cops are coming on because they hear there's an orphan. It's played really briefly there. And it's played later on when he's kind of like, because
it is played 3 times. Raheem's right. It's played 3 times.
Oh, is there a third time?
There's a time after the girl, way late in the movie.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember. It's really brief though, kind of like the first one, right?
And it has like more going on too. There's like a remixed version of it. There's other stuff happening with the song.
It's really like in the background, is giving you that feel of what's about to happen.
Yeah. Well, so as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, okay, the circumstance that he's in does not really. I was kind of bummed at first because I didn't have an explanation of why there's this song with that bad note, like that intentional bad note. They're kind of like time periods in his life where he's, you know, scared or there's a little bit of intensity. But I felt the song worked way better in 7 Pounds for what it was doing there. But
really.
I felt that the song, well, yes. And then I realized, I started thinking about what this song was. Okay. And I feel like this is my interpretation. Songs, he's inspired by people, right? He sees them. This is their song. This is their song. I feel like this was his song. And if we all wrote a song about ourselves, it would be taking 2 steps, stumbling, getting back up, taking 2 steps, stumbling,
It would be
getting back,
nearly perfect. It would be nearly
trying to
perfect.
get your crap together. And it would be like you're almost there, but you're not. You know, I feel like a lot of us would write that about ourselves. So I kind of like thinking that was his song to him. And the name Crisis kind of comes from more. I was thinking like a crisis, like a flood or tidal wave or something, but it's more like a human crisis, like a midlife crisis. He had this crisis of, do I stay on the boat? You know, do I follow this girl and see what else is out there?
Right.
So I could be wrong, but you know, music is up to interpretation.
It is. Can I add to what you're saying?
And you are. No, I'm not saying that. It sounds like Raheem's headed that way, though.
Can I? Nope.
Can I add to what you're saying? Like, I
Definitely,
want to add to what you're saying. So they played it 3 times, right? In the beginning,
Yeah.
in the after the climax, and then at the end, right? And I think, okay, we have the birth of this child. We have a beginning of something like, so this song is trying to me, is trying to say that there's no beginning to the end of the song. And the whole thing of this, when you talked about the keys and music, there's an end to music. In this sense, right, this song is playing in the beginning when he's a child, the climax, and he's an adult climax part, and then towards the end of his life, the keys are ending. This is it. And that's what the song wants you to grab onto it. Like, to me, going to 7 pounds, you grabbing onto the song, you don't want it to end because you know what's going to happen in the end. It's over. It's done. So that's what the song means to me. I think it's a beautiful piece. Hearing it got me all teary-eyed again. It got me reminiscing about 7 pounds rather than this movie. Mainly because we just seen 7 pounds, but it grabs you and it kind of slows in the middle of the song to where you think it's going to end, and then it grabs you back again. Boom, boom, boom. It keeps going again, but you don't want it to end. I think that's the main point of this song. It has a beginning and it definitely has an end, but it grabs you in the middle. It wants to keep you prolonging on, but then the end is inevitable. That's what I think what the song is about, and that's what this movie portrayed to me.
Okay.
Which would also kind of make sense that it's his song, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why I said I want to add on to what you were saying.
Right. Yeah, I need to remember where it was played the third time, because I know that on the soundtrack there's a crisis and then a crisis, the second crisis, or crisis 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
There was I don't know if you already mentioned it, but when he was a little kid looking out the ship, it played at that moment too.
That's the other one I noticed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't really remember the one at the end that much. Maybe I think I maybe kind of do.
It was
when he's talking. It was when he's talking to her.
It was
following the girl.
Yeah. When they were all asleep and he was looking for it was playing then.
Right.
That's the first time I noticed it.
Oh, really?
And then there was a time after that. There's a time
I think
after
it
that
played
that
a
has more
little
music
bit
added
when
to
he
it.
started going down the steps.
It
To get off the ship. It played a little bit right there.
It was faint. Like they had the backdrop of everything else that was going on.
Yeah, it was him saying goodbye to everybody. Yes, that's the second part. That's I didn't notice the first one when he was a kid.
Yeah.
I just noticed him. That's when it kicked in when he was basically completely lost about how to act when it came to the way that girl was pulling him towards her. He didn't know what the correct behavior was or how to moderate it or what to do with it at all. He was completely at sea, so to speak. Sorry for the pun, but like he really was like, and the music is perfect right then, because that's what I thought the crisis was. The crisis to me was that it's a piano piece that's nearly perfect, signifying a nearly perfect piano player, right? So it's his instrument. And then you have this bad note, which is like his humanity. He doesn't know what it means. He knows how to be the perfect piano player, but there's still always going to be that bad note there because he spent most of his formative years on a boat not really learning how to really actually interact with people, especially in a romantic or a like physical way, right? So he broke a boundary pretty clearly, right? But they like, that scene's really spicy, like, but I feel like especially now it's super cringy, right? Like, but probably in '99 as an Italian film, it probably made sense. But now we would probably look at that and be like, that's not consent, so I don't like this movie, burn it to the ground, right? Like, it would be like that quick, right? So like, But I think the film is acknowledging that also with that music piece right there, that he's kind of overstepping, but he doesn't know that he's overstepping. He just knows that something's overcoming him, right? Like, and he does run, right? When she wakes up and stuff, and then he ends up not pursuing it and all that stuff, and just like, I don't know. But yeah, the second time it's played with the more music is when he's saying goodbye to everybody, and then he ends up not leaving, which is perfect for that bad note, right? Because if he was going to leave, that bad note would be gone. If you think about it, like that's what I thought. I was thinking like he's not going to leave, he won't do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's going to be like he's going to stay on the boat. Like
that was dope.
So I don't know. That's the way I interpreted that piece. Just felt like that bad note was his undeveloped humanity.
Right. I actually, that's exactly what I was thinking too. I mean, cool. I say we all kind of have that trip up, but that was his trip. Like it
wasn't his fault either.
Right. And also the scene where I thought the second thing about it being creepy is that she seemed way too young to him for me. Like she seemed like she could have been like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Right.
But once
more so a foreign film.
Right.
Yeah.
But I watched that scene before because I saw it on YouTube, and that was the scene that played when I pulled up the song on YouTube.
Oh, got it. Okay.
It was more creepy when I saw it there, when I hadn't seen and knew the story beforehand, when he is almost mentally in some ways her age because of his lack of
totally is
in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it made it, I guess, slightly less creepy. I mean, he's still probably she's even
imagine being that old and never having kissed anyone,
right?
And then having to fight the urge to do it without any training at all, and still wondering like what it, like that he just I thought the film did it fine. I thought that scene was fine. Like, you know what I mean? As far as like all it's explaining to you, it's not telling you that it's okay to kiss a girl that's asleep. That's not what that scene's for. Right. It's telling you that he doesn't have the tools to deal with that situation.
Right.
To self-moderate. Yeah. He doesn't have them because he doesn't understand what's happening to him. Right. Every time he's seen a display of affection, it's been like he's been a spectator. So he doesn't. That's not. You don't learn. You can only learn so much from spectating. Right. Like you're not going to learn how to play basketball until you do it. I don't care how many games you watch, right? It's the same thing. So like, I don't know. It's weird. That scene, I could see how people would be like, I can't watch that movie because of that scene. And I'd be like, well, then you probably didn't get it.
Right.
I wouldn't go as far as to not watch the movie, but you can watch that and you can kind of cringe at that.
Oh yeah.
It is cringy.
It's only
it's meant to be uncomfortable, cringy. Right? Yeah. Like it is though.
It's only because we had, even my kids was like, Dad, that was weird.
It's supposed to be. You're supposed to feel like him right there.
Yep.
But
you're supposed to feel like him right there. And the bad note, all of it. That is like one of the coolest scenes.
Yeah.
Dude. I was like, whoa.
I get it. Like, yes, it's cringy. Yes, like I disagree with that scene entirely.
Just watch it.
But it reminds me of Sleeping Beauty. Don't diss me. You know what
That's
I mean?
what you should have said to your kids. Oh, and I bet you like Sleeping Beauty, don't you?
No, I didn't say that at all. I want them to keep that mindset. Like, yeah, that's wrong.
Dude, that's becoming a thing, by the way.
Keep that mindset, babies.
Is it really? Is that a hot topic?
That's becoming a cancel culture thing. That Sleeping Beauty and Snow White because the prince kisses her.
Yeah.
Oh, while she's asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Take it up with Hans Christian Andersen or who wrote those? I can't remember now.
It is completely wrong.
Probably.
And I think because we live in a day and age where we're information. We are an information day and age, right? We don't know how old she is. We don't know the true circumstances of the connection with that. All we know that this kid who's grown up to be an adult has lived on this boat. We don't know his moral standards. We just know that he enjoys playing pianos, right? But we really don't know his moral standards outside of seeing that scene. Mm-hmm. That was the moral part right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it took me off like, oh. Like, hold on.
That's so funny.
All
right, see you, Lisa. Thanks
see you, Lisa.
For a sec.
Peace out, Lisa.
Thanks for providing more material for a quick take there, Raheem. That was good. I like that.
Was really funny, yeah. Are you done with your likes, Jared? You got any more? Anything that you want to bring out?
Go ahead.
Mainly just the soundtrack in general, like Izzy already touched on.
How good was that soundtrack, though?
Listening to it on its own, I'm like, this is one of the best scores I've ever heard.
It's same.
It rivals John Williams. Like
it's like so.
probably less one note than John Williams. I hate to say it, but I mean, it's all over the place.
It serves a purpose, though, right?
Yeah, definitely. And did you know? I don't know. I didn't. So at the end of the album, there's one song that actually has vocals on it. And maybe it's played in the credits. Did you guys watch the credits? Because I don't remember.
Yeah, I did.
Did you hear somebody singing?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear that. Do you know who that was? Written by co-written and sung Roger Waters.
Whoa!
It's like, how did I never hear of this movie before? That's got the Pink Floyd guy singing.
It's like 2.5 hours. It's shot incredibly well. It's won awards. It has the best soundtrack of all time. 7 pounds used a piece from the soundtrack. Like, I know, and it's like just totally dodged us. It's also like 45% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, no one likes it.
Right. I saw that too. Well, we already went over what 7 pounds was low too. So I think the Metacritic one or the other one, the IMDb, that was pretty high.
67 or something. Yeah, it was like, it's a foreign film for all intents and purposes, man. Like it is a foreign film. It is an Italian director doing his first English language film. And I get it. That's like cool. But like I feel like I'm being communicated to by a very impassioned foreign person, like culturally, when I watch that movie. That's really like my long and short of it. You know what I mean? Like when it comes down to what I'm going to rate this film or like what I thought of it, like it felt foreign to me. Like I didn't connect with a lot of what was going on, even though it was magnificently done, So it's like, I don't know, like I just accepted it right away. I think
that is actually how I feel about a lot of anime.
Well, yeah, that is also foreign.
Whoa,
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Don't hit on my anime now. Come on.
No, I'm not hitting on it.
He's not knocking it, dude. That's so funny though.
There's a barrier there, and I don't quite understand like some of the. I don't know. What would you call it? It's
just the culture. It's a cultural way of interacting.
I didn't have the disconnect from the emotional side of it, which I
can tell, man. You liked it, yeah.
Okay. Other foreign films will do that to me. Like the sensibilities are just not quite. I'm just not grasping them because it's a different culture. But yeah. I'm glad you guys like actually thought about the song and like came up with your own interpretations.
Oh, had to.
That's awesome.
The music was flawless. I can't even touch on the music. It was just flawless. It was a flawless soundtrack. You can listen to it.
I like that they threw some like George Gershwin in there. Like there at the beginning, it sounded like the whole New York from the 20s sound and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah. Anyways, that's my likes, man.
You done? Okay.
Okay. All right. Ra.
Like Dave, no, not Dave, but like Jared, the music to me was flawless. History with music with me is brought up on music. My dad was a musician. I got to see Dizzy Gillespie live before he died.
Woo!
He took me to symphonies. I grew up on classical music, and then of course rap, hip hop, and all other type of stuff. Delve into music, make music myself. My brother been around the world performing and been around other artists and stuff like music is part of my life. So listening to this classical music was very touching, brought up a lot of good memories. And the music part of it, I loved. I loved all the music. I would say it was one specific music that I did not like, but the soundtrack was basically almost flawless. From start to finish. It just do you in, you listen to it, it just does something to you. Like so much, even my kids, my children, they sat there and they loved it. And it's weird,
That's so cute, man.
This is older music, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? My
kids, for them
like,
especially, yeah.
They sat back and they listened to it, they enjoyed it, they enjoyed the movie itself, asking questions, and it felt the same way I felt on certain scenes. It was like, okay, that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But the music drew me in, and I think that was one of the things that I liked the most. And then the climax musical scene is what I like too. Was the second best part of the film. Other than that, I thought the film was trash.
Whoa! Check him out. That's so awesome. Other than that was trash.
But you had quite a few likes, though. I mean,
yeah. I take out specific things, but you know how I am a story guy. I need a story, a good flowing story. if you don't give me that, I'm sorry, the movie's trash. But I will take out my likes. Like there's certain points that you'll like, you know what I mean? Like there's certain things.
Yep, I do. Yes.
And that was it. But the movie was trash, all in all to me. But the music was dope. One scene to me stood out the most, and it was like, okay, wow, this is a pretty dope scene. But that was it. It was short lived.
Did you say which scene that was? Did I miss it?
Yeah, what was the scene?
I will say that in my dislikes. Trust me.
Oh,
weird. I
weird.
thought you were
Okay.
saying it stands out as a good thing.
Wait, what?
I thought you were saying it stands out as a good thing, but no,
The
you
one
mean it's a
scene.
bad thing.
No. It's one scene that was good, but also was my dislike.
Okay, interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
My
Interesting.
biggest dislike was in the same scene as my biggest like.
Got it. Okay.
That's kind of where I was with that whole song in general from the beginning.
From
Like
7 pounds even.
it's just
Yeah.
there's something about it I need to know more about, and
Yeah.
it hits me in different ways.
Okay.
Can't wait.
Okay.
Don't
All
just
right.
pick up by 7 pounds, okay?
That's so funny, dude.
Yeah, relive the trauma. All right, Izzy. Likes.
Okay, so yeah, I kind of got into it earlier, so I'm not gonna beat it to death. Like the camera work was deft beyond belief for a movie of this time. Like, and the lighting was really good, right? Like, my favorite scene is probably the piano without the brakes on. Like, just technically, just watching them shoot that, I was just like, man. And it was like kind of a corny way for two guys to get to know each other, but I didn't care. It was
Me-
like so
Me too.
Bad.
Totally.
so badass. Like, it was so good. But I also liked leading up to that scene how you see the guy getting tossed around by the ocean and the guy who's lived his whole life on a boat just walking straight to the piano with like no problems. I thought that was cool too.
But corny.
Not really. That's accurate.
Well, the way he acted it, I guess he was just like throwing himself around. Just a
Oh,
little bit.
that guy. I thought you meant the Tim Roth
No.
part of it. Like, okay, got it. Yeah. So, but I liked that, and the soundtrack was crazy. My favorite piece is actually the part that he recorded.
For the girl.
Yeah, I thought that was actually the pinnacle of his work, and I think it was supposed to be. Like,
Yep.
the film was being like, this is him like actually writing the song for a person he's going to fall in love with, and I felt it. I was like, that's the best piece in the film. The second best piece, my second favorite piece, I should say, it was Jelly Roll Morton's second piece when he attacked him on the second piece. That rag piece that he did with all these big, thick chords. Like, it sounded very, almost like Castlevania, kind of, you know what I mean? It had this very, like, it was very neat.
Yeah.
So that was my second favorite piece. But those are the two that really stood out to me the most in the film. But overall, the soundtrack was like the star of the show, like hands down to me. Like, it was so good. So, but I think that's about it. Those are I mean, I kind of already went into them, you know what I mean? Like earlier on my initial things, but I think that's about it. I feel like there was another thing that I did like, and I can't remember what it was, but I guess I can spike it in later if I need to, but I'm going to move on. I think I'm good.
Okay. All right. Likes. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with the camera work. I was really impressed, like, with the camera work on this. I was like, man, I feel like the way it was shot, I was like, man, I kind of feel like if they were to redo this movie, it would almost be shot pretty much the same way.
Oh,
Like a lot of the techniques they use are like what they use today, the way they shot it. I thought, I like the soundtrack. I love the part with what's that guy's name, the black guy that he was doing he was going against at like the peak of the
Jelly
movie.
Roll Morton was who he was
Jelly Roll
playing.
Morton. Oh, okay, yeah. That part was like,
The inventor of
I
jazz.
thought it was phenomenal. At first, I didn't
Self-proclaimed.
get why he put the cigarette on there, but then I was like, oh, okay, he's showing like when the guy started talking, he was like his hands were like so light when he hit the keys. I was like, okay, that he's showing like, I was like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. He's showing that he can. That's how good he is. That he won't make it vibrate at all or whatever.
Right.
I liked most of the stuff with the girl, like his love interest with the girl that popped up. Like, I kind of liked it for the most part, except obviously for the creepy ass kiss that he gave to her, like in the night when everyone was asleep. But, other than that, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, and I liked that. I think they did a really good job of making it feel like you were there, like on the ship. I thought they did a good job with it, like the way it was shot. Yeah, and like I felt like he was actually on a lot of those shots. I felt like were actually filmed like on the ship. I felt like.
Yeah, dude. The sets and the camera work they really did. Man, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. You should feel like you're there.
Really good, like really good on it. Yeah. Alrighty, so let's get into it.
We're gonna do the dislikes.
Dislikes. We're doing it.
Okay.
You're up.
I got two things I just kind of would have rather them go a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that the jazz guy, after getting owned, would have been the guy that said, "You're all right, kid."
Oh, that whole thing.
Instead of being all pissy about it. But the person that actually did that was the conductor. Like
he's saying goodbye to him, right?
He came around at the end.
Yeah.
And I think that the conductor would have been a better like overall villain of the movie. Like I would have rather them switch roles. Like the conductor just always didn't like him no matter what.
Because he just kept not listening to him.
Right.
He kept like stopping songs in the middle and then like busting into just speed rag.
Right. Yep.
Right. You know,
I wanted him to get recognition from that guy, you know? Like
yeah. But it was showboating, and that's not his job in a band.
Right.
Right. I understood the conductor's position a little bit. I was like, oh man, like you all got to.
No, I'm saying I wish he would have stayed the villain, the conductor.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And I wish that the jazz dude would have recognized him for being good. Like I think that he would have. I just kind of wanted one of those, just like, all right, you got it from him. Yeah. But the other thing is, you know, I love a good tragedy, but if I was his friend and I was bigger than him, like his friend was, I would have.
I thought the same thing.
Thrown him over my shoulder.
Yeah.
Told him out.
So did I.
Yeah, I just felt like he would have done that and said, you know what, you'll thank me later because it's not as scary as you think, and you'll do okay, and you'll find a girl, and life isn't the worst thing in the world.
Quit being such a bitch, dude.
For real, man.
That's where I was at. There was like no message in that ending.
You'll learn. You'll learn. Just maybe it's like a foreign tragedy. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. We all have to do that. We all have to interact with parts of life that we don't like, that feel too big or scary to us, and we all make it, even if it goes bad.
Yep.
So shut up.
Yeah.
Go play the piano for a living. You idiot. Like,
was that going to be one of your dislikes, or were we even going to touch on that?
It is like the biggest dislike for this movie, like easily. Yeah. So I'm glad that you're saying it because I want to agree with you about the thing you don't like about the movie. Like, yeah.
I'm the wrong person wearing this hat right now.
Savage.
This belongs on Izzy's head.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Jared.
That's it.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's all I knew he was going to. Man, when we got on his vibe, I was like, oh, he liked this movie. I could tell. I was like, oh, he liked this. Okay. Dang, I hope he didn't like the ending, but we'll see.
I was okay with the ending, but I would have rathered.
Got it. Okay.
All right, Ra.
You said you were going to bring it this week, too. You told me you weren't holding back because last week you felt like you were like holding back some emotions.
Make it make sense, man. Make it make sense.
That's a good mantra, actually.
It's really good.
This feels like a fairy tale to me, though.
You said it since the first video we did, and I was like, oh.
That's okay. Don't you think that that's okay in a fairy tale? If it's going to not make sense, it's going to be in a fairy tale. And that's what I felt this movie was.
Look at Jared's already defending it.
They tried to make this movie like realism. They tried to make it like this is
I don't know about
what
that.
actually happened. And when you do that, you set yourself up for failure if you don't have an actual good storyline that's going to walk you through the movie. There was no character build whatsoever. All of us, like, what black man is going to take in a white child at that time?
An Italian one? An Italian one.
Raise him, but everybody be like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. We're going to name him 1900. Let's make you sound retarded, too. Oh, okay.
The first
like,
you were right away. You hated it.
I was like, what am I watching?
Oh, my God. I said, I stopped. I put pause. Okay, this is before my kids got home. You know, I pushed pause. I'm sitting here. I'm like, Jared, really? Really, Jared? Like, this is what we're watching right now. I said, okay. I got up. I made my first batch. I was gonna try to watch it sober. I said, I
All right,
can't.
we're gonna get through this movie with
I
this.
can't do this sober. I can't do it.
You're so
So I
funny.
get my
Dude.
drink. I started sipping a couple, and then I press play again. And I'm watching the whole thing, and
Yeah, we just can't pick a movie that Raheem likes, Tony. That's all right. I'll pick Thor.
Okay.
I'm
Don't
kidding.
don't do that either, because I have my dislike with. Anyway, I don't want to get off track. So
Raheem, the whole thing was literally a story being told. There's going to be embellishments.
It was a
Right?
fairy tale. I'll agree with Jared on that.
my thing
It
is,
definitely was.
my thing
Yeah,
is,
number. Official. It's official.
there was no character. Like, I felt nothing for the character whatsoever.
I didn't either.
No feelings for him from start to finish.
Tony
I
loved it.
He became
Damn.
this one kid. In short, this child who was born on a boat somehow did not go to custody or go to what do you call it back in the day? They called it
Orphanage.
orphanage or whatnot. Stuck on a boat, grew up not knowing left from right, basically, but learned how to play piano magically, really good to where he's beating the best of the best without being taught. So that's one thing. And then all of a sudden, right, you have this person who don't know anything. He is a creepo who's scouring over this beautiful young, could be really, really young girl, and he kisses her without permission while she sleeps. Like, that's my picture of this character. But yet you put on this facade of music, right? Some classical music that's not even actually being played by you. You know what I'm saying? It's being played by a actual professional who's been taught and played for years, who's been taught how to play. But you haven't been taught anything, and you just sit there on the piano one day and you're doing your thing, and I'm just like, what is this? What is this?
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the music. I did. I enjoyed the classical music. It was brilliant playing of
The rag piano was unparalleled.
Even
honestly, the rag piano work was untouchable.
it was untouchable. But also even the freaking horn, the trumpet.
Oh yeah, the trumpet was really good too. That's true. Yeah.
Like my favorite trumpet player is Miles Davis. I listen to him often.
Oh my gosh, yeah, okay. He's like the
hearing some
trumpet players.
It was good. The music was good, but the storyline that they tried to make a make-believe fairy tale, it failed the fairy tale to me. It was just trash from start to finish.
It's just trash.
Start to finish. It was trash. Like, I got bored.
Movie. Was it
I
trash?
got bored trying to
it.
watch it and be like, okay. Here's this new guy who's coming on, and this is how they become friends. That's how they become what, best friends? It's like, come on,
man. The buddy movie that starts in like halfway through.
They never showed anything like really close that made them best friends.
I always wanted to ride a piano around.
It was just nothing. It was nothing there. Nothing.
We were friends.
Empty. And I was bored and lost. The only thing that they kept me entertained was the music. That was it.
Okay.
So
the scene, yeah.
Main dislikes was that scene that I also like. Wait, are we doing dislikes or likes?
We're doing dislikes, but you said you were saving this one for dislikes for some reason.
Yeah.
So are we doing dislikes or likes?
Is it because you're hammered?
You just went off, dude. I hope we're doing
My bad. Okay, so
These
dislikes.
are your likes, don't worry.
So in that climax scene, to that competition remind me of Crossroads.
Right.
That last composition from the main character.
Yeah.
To say, okay, F you, basically.
Yeah.
That was trash. Right? It wasn't like something that okay, he just pressing a lot of keys or whatnot. But to do that composition, you would need 4 hands, literally, to do that. And they tried to make it seem like he's just going that fat. Like, come on, bro.
Fairy tale.
It's fairy tale. Yeah.
It was trash. That was like, come on. I was expecting something more realistic, which they could have done, which would have killed the game too. But I felt like they did that and they recorded something over that to make it seem like he's playing like that.
Oh, maybe
one person to do that. Impossible.
Maybe.
So that was trash too.
It's a good one for you to pick it on because even though I loved it, it's not like I'm showing you guys this movie that I've loved forever.
No, we just get to have 4 reactions to it.
And then
It's
you
awesome.
crap on it. And then you crap on it. It's a good one because it's like, okay, man, this is what we did this for. It's awesome.
Well, I know that, Jared. But that's why I'm going all the way in because this one was. I was dreading to watch. I was dreading. I said, please no, please.
You pretty much did say that from the trailer.
You watched the previews and you were like, no.
I did.
Like, I totally remember that. Yeah.
Oh, and then,
Why were we
and then you have the beaner. Did we win yet? Come on, stop!
That's
There was
Italian
a
humor,
lot- there was
dude.
a lot of
That
racial-
whole segment, the duel felt so Italian to me. The most. That felt like
There was
the
a
least
lot of
American.
racial
That was so
stereotypes.
disrespectful.
There were racial stereotypes all over the place. Like
Hell
they
yeah, it was.
calling them chinks down on the.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, real quick, I want to say Jared, because Jared, you watched this on Amazon, right?
Yes.
Use Amazon. Did you know that? Did you have the subtitles on when you watched it?
Yes, they
Oh,
did
Did
not
you
match up.
notice throughout the entire movie? It was
I
like
can tell you why.
it
I can
was
tell you
like
why.
what they were saying. Literally, almost every line in the subtitle
I'll
was
tell you why.
completely different.
I'll tell you why. The subtitles,
Japanese anime.
the subtitles are for the Italian audience, and they are translated from Italian.
Mhm.
Oh, that makes
So they're
more
going to
sense.
have the Italian audio on.
Because I was like, dude, I was like, is this glitched out or something? I was
Nope.
like, why is it like literally a
Nope.
different script?
Italian is still his first language. English is. This was like a weird thing for him to make this movie, and everyone in Italy was like, "We're gonna have to watch an English-speaking movie from you." And he's like, "I got subtitles, guaranteed."
So they
Now, I
took
know
they took the dub. They took the Italian dub and made the lyrics
English subtitles from that, yes.
Okay, from that.
Okay,
Yeah,
So
that
that's
makes
what they
more
said in the Italian version. Okay.
Yep. Which is like funny because when you read, I knew that right away. I was like, "Oh, that's what happened here." This is from the Italian dub, and I was like, "Okay, that's fine." And I like read them, and I was like, "Man, Italians are so much spicier sometimes." Like on some of the shit they say,
Yeah,
like it was like so much more hardcore in some of the spots. I'm like, "Whoa, what is that line? Like what?" I liked it, but yeah. Okay, my turn. My turn.
You all done,
Get
right?
it?
All right, go for
All
it.
right. So I only have like 3 or 4, like, but they're pretty major. Like, I really didn't feel connected to anything at all. So that just made me not really like the movie at all. So that was like a huge dislike for me. I didn't care what happened to him. I didn't care, like, you know, I just was like, I wasn't filled with wonder about a guy that's lived his whole life on a boat. I wasn't like on, you know, pins and needles about what was going to happen to him. Like, 2, I'm with Raheem, and I'm actually a musician. I thought that final piece was trash. I thought it was a gimmick, and it shouldn't have won him the contest at all. I think the piece that should have won the contest was Jelly Roll's second piece. Or, in fact, later I thought, I was like, actually what he should have played was the piece that he played for the girl. And that would have won. That's the best piece in the film by far. But then I was like, but then you can't use it for that part because that's more important to him than winning a stupid competition, is the girl. The girl's more important to him than winning a competition with some stranger who's never going to see it again, right? So I was like, okay, I get it. And so they just wanted to show off his like alacrity or like his deftness on the keyboard. I get it. But I was like, it was a corny way to do it. It probably had an effect on people that weren't musicians, but I was kind of like, nah, that's just if I played fast. It doesn't win. Like, you know, there's more to it than that. So I hated that. What should have been the climax of a really cool scene really like knocked me out of it. And then my third like major dislike was the fact that his friend didn't yank him off the boat physically and be like, you need to just live your life. Like, to stop. Now you're wallowing. Also, in that scene is a major plot hole for me. How did he eat? Because you saw how, like, this is a make it make sense thing. This is totally a make it make sense thing. Where, like, you look at the boat and it is rotting. And I'm like, that takes a lot of time to get to that point, and he hasn't left it. There's no food there. He's dead. Like, he's already dead. Like, he died from starvation. They would have found, like, a mummified, like, pianist. You know what I mean? So,
his suit, I know. I was like, wait, why is his suit, like, in perfect shape?
Yeah, he was almost like a concept. He was like a ghost or something at that point. It was really weird, dude. Like, I hated it. I hated that so much. Like, so anyways, yeah, those are my dislikes, but they're pretty big. They take big swipes and chunks out of the film for me. Like, unfortunately, because the soundtrack's so good and the camera works so good.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's it. I'll leave it at that. I'm not gonna beat him with that song.
So what you said about the song, didn't he meet the girl after the duel?
Yeah.
That song wasn't written yet.
Yeah.
True.
And the thing you guys are saying about the complexity of the song and how it was trashed, that is actually, I get where you're coming from, because that's how I feel about the majority of prog rock. Like, it's like we're playing this to impress you. It's difficult to play, but to me, it's not very often that there's actual emotion behind it. It's just like play for musicians that are like, wow, can I copy that?
Right, but no, hold up. Music can be complex and still be good without it being emotional. That's your problem. You're requesting emotionality from everything, and it doesn't need to exist in everything for it to be good.
And this makes sense why this movie emotionally grabbed me.
Right.
Because the music was so good.
Right.
And I hate that. I hate that about myself. That, I mean, you can
don't.
You can play three notes on a piano. And that's why I hate watching these reality TV shows where they're like going into their lives. And I'm like, this is garbage. And as soon as I hit those three notes, I'm like, but I
love it now. But now I care. Yeah, that's so
competition things. All those competition things do that crap. I hate it.
Legit fast forward through the reality crap because that doesn't matter to me.
Just to watch the performances.
I fast forward to
honestly, like, just listen to the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, are you done, Izzy, with dislikes?
I'm done, dude. I think that's plenty. Yeah.
Okay.
Add more, Izzy. Add more dislikes.
Add more. All right. So my dislikes are pretty much the same as what Raw and Izzy have been saying. Probably my biggest one was the speech at the end, dude, where this guy was like it was weird because I felt like the whole movie they were kind of gassing this guy up that like he was almost like flawless, right? Like he was like he helped the guy who couldn't stand up straight. He's like, oh, I got the cure.
You could do anything.
I know how to fix this. Yeah, like you could do this, you could do that. Like he always kept his cool. And then at the end of the movie, this guy is nothing but the biggest pussy. He's the biggest coward.
A life filled with positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
I didn't think
and
about
then
that.
At the very end of the movie, he's like making up some BS excuse why he can't get off the ship. Oh, well, there's no end. Like, it's so busy out there and there's so many streets and that's no way to live life. Like, how would you know, man? You've never been off the ship. How would you know that's no way? You took 2 steps down the ladder, looked at the city and said, you know what? This is too much of a busy life.
You're a quitter.
Like, no way. You just got scared. That's what it was. You got scared. Like, you chickened out.
You know what's interesting about that? Interesting about that, Dave? Is like, now that I'm thinking about it, he also didn't learn the piano. He just knew it. That was like a weird fairy tale miracle, right?
The whole time I was waiting for them to explain why this kid just walked up and just was like a beast on the piano from the first time he touched it. And they never explained it. Like, because no one taught him. No one taught him how to play the piano. He had no exposure to music, really, except for the guy singing, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, he grew up with it. If he had that when he was a baby, he would hit definitely exposure to music. I like
the filth that kid was playing instantly was
instantly. His first time he went on the piano, this kid was like Mozart. I was like,
stop. Nasty. That piece is gross. Like, and you're like, okay.
Which I think Mozart was writing his stuff when he was like 6 too, though. So I mean, there are these prodigies that are
sure. Here we go.
Movie, but they explain how he attained this greatness.
How?
Right? He became a Super Saiyan at a young age.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
They train.
Super Saiyan's trained, though.
Yes, so his training was being on a boat his whole life.
Bull crap.
But when did the piano training kick in? That's what I'm saying.
Never.
Even the guy that was narrating the story to the old man in the shop said that. He said that when he was retelling the story to the old guy. He was like, even the conductor of the ship was wondering, like, how did he learn how to do this? And then they just never said it. They just never said it.
He was a Saiyan, bro. Like, he came to Earth, what I'm saying, and was left there on the boat. And
God.
He just learned miraculously.
He's the biggest coward Saiyan ever because he never left that boat. A Saiyan would have stepped off the boat.
He's Krillin.
Like that scene with Steve Zahn in The Wonders when he's like, never had one lesson. And it's like total crap. That's what that would be. That's what that would actually be. It wouldn't be like an actual prodigy just beating Jelly Roll Morton in his 20s.
That's why I said make it make sense, bro. Just make it make sense.
Yeah, dude. That just because the whole movie I was just like waiting for him to take that step, like, oh, he's gonna go be with this girl that he freaking decided to kiss in the middle of the night while she's asleep. Like, what? You got one kiss and you got your fix now, man? Like, what? You don't have blue balls
That
anymore?
wasn't actually what I was
Like-
trying up to do. I'm gonna just
Like, you know what? Kissing a
I'll
girl
give her a
really
record.
wasn't all
Hope she
that
doesn't
great.
call me.
And then she
And then, like, he just let her go, man. He's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna die on my own because I'm too much of a pussy to step off.
They're
the
gonna
boat.
blow me up in a ship. It's not a big deal.
Like, this guy
I'm
ended
less
up being
scared
the
of that than I
biggest
am of
coward.
walking
man.
off the boat.
It annoyed me so much that, like, I spent 2 hours and 40 minutes watching this guy be gassed up as like perfection, and then he ended up being the biggest wuss in the whole movie. He ended up being the biggest wuss. I was like, this guy's
I
gonna
did
have
really
some
sit
epic.
there and be
He's
like,
gonna have the
wait.
most epic thing getting up the, and he's just gonna like own the city because he's magnificent at the piano. And then he was just like, you know what? I'm good. I'm just gonna die right here.
And ignoring the fact that he couldn't eat on that boat and there's no way he's alive, but like ignoring that, like if how cool of an ending would it have been if his friend actually got through to him?
Right?
How dignifying would that be to his friend, right? To be like, okay, man, and it's like really scary. You could almost see him like visibly shaking, getting to the bottom of the gangplank. That would have been, I would have been crying. I would have actually started to feel something in that movie if he had gotten off the boat and been like visibly upset about it. But then like his friend's like, it's okay, man, you got me forever. You got me until I'm not here. You know what I mean? We can do it. I will escort you through the weird stuff, through like what a hot dog cart looks like.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like everything, like you can possibly imagine that's going to be weird to you. Like I'm here, man. And then it would have turned into like the ultimate buddy movie, like, right? But it's such a missed opportunity. Man, I'm just going to die. And his friend just cries and he's like, okay. And then leaves. And I'm like,
legit died.
My God.
What?
Dude, I was just like, are you kidding me,
That's
man?
rusted with no food.
Oh my God. I was
Do you know how long it takes for a boat to rust to have water flowing through it?
that's what I thought that too. I was
How
like,
long it
there's no way.
he was eating fish that came onto the boat raw. So that's what he was doing.
My
Good
God.
piano,
Yeah,
though.
it annoyed the crap out of me. And then I agree. The final song he played on that piano, man, I was just like, that was just like another letdown moment. Because he hyped it up. He's like, oh, give me the
It's Flight of the
cigarette.
Bumblebee.
And then he like made eye contact with the guy. And he's like, you asked for this. And then I was just like,
And
really?
it's Flight of the Bumblebee.
I was like, really, dude? Like it was cool. You were moving your hands super fast and everything, but like,
Every like trumpet player learns that in their like second year.
yeah,
They're like, check it out, I'm good now. And you're like, dude, stop, no, you're not.
he's like sweating. He looked like he was having an orgasm the whole time. Like the way the camera was like set below.
Yeah.
Him. He's like all sweating and everything.
It was weird.
I was like, what is going on? What is going on right now? I was
I'll
like,
tell you
is
what's
this
going on. The valley of the movie.
God?
Like the two valleys of the movie is what you're describing.
Like Jesus
Oh,
Christ, man! It was the most
man.
awkward shot. I was just like, come on, man! Like the other dude, the guy that went on there, whoever he was, he played such better songs
Oh my gosh, Jelly Roll songs
Than
were
he did.
crazy.
He played such better songs than he did, man. I
Crazy.
was like, there's no way, like, it annoyed the crap out. It was such a huge buildup and then such a big letdown
Yeah.
when he did that song.
Well, then everyone accepted but me that
Right.
won the contest.
Right.
I was like, wait, I'm the audience though. Like, how didn't I think that he won? Like, if I was Jelly Roll, I'd be like, and? Like,
No, but he lit it. That's the
true.
end.
Yeah, that's true. That was real swanky.
That
I gotta
was
say, that
wild.
was actually really
was one of
spicy.
I do like that he lit the cigarette. That was cool.
That
Although
was
he
dope.
didn't earn it,
Swag-
he did lit it.
His
That was
swag was
definitely
dope.
good.
His swag was dope, but the song selection was trash. as
Yeah,
hell.
dude.
It was
He
awesome.
should have played some other song.
I'm like this. Like this.
God, even the first
Right.
arpeggio that Jelly Rolls
Watch
plays
him
when he
come
sits down, that rink when he sits down,
Yep.
it's like, oh, it's
Yeah,
on. Yo, he's
right.
good. Like, but that whole song was worse than that one arpeggio.
Oh man, big time. And then I guess the biggest thing, like you say, I just couldn't get like I couldn't connect to this movie like at all. Like especially the opening of this movie, like the first like 20-30 minutes or whatever, where they're taking you through him as a kid. I was just like, what the freak am I watching?
Yeah, who cares?
I was just like, what is this? Like the most random crap kept happening. Like they were like they wanted to name the baby 1900, and then like he cared so much about this little kid, even though he like showed whips on his back from like white people who whipped him, but like for some reason he loved like this little white kid. It made zero sense to me. I'm like,
Right.
no
Well,
person
you also like
gone through this would like just be like, oh yeah, like I don't know. It just made no sense to me. It made zero sense to me.
well, in the opening sequence of that guy is that he's scavenging for rich people's trash, right? That's like the kind of guy he is right there. So that kind of guy is going to be like, what? Whose kid is this? And he's going to take it off the boat and be like, yo, like hold the box up and be like, somebody left their kid on the boat? Bye. Goodbye.
He wouldn't even touch the box. He would tell, hey, yo, there's a baby.
That's fair. He probably wouldn't even touch
There's
it.
a fucking baby.
There's a baby. He wouldn't even touch
I
it.
am not going to touch
Right.
How do you guys know that from watching a guy for 10 seconds on the screen before he sees the baby?
It's the
learn a lot
time.
about a person in the first 10 seconds.
Times though. The time.
His character didn't line up. It was all over the place.
The times of what
It's
they
the
were
time.
putting him in.
On his back, bro.
Yeah, he literally said you have to avoid those kind of white people or something. Like he said something like that. And I'm just like, a black man who's been whipped in that time would not give a rat's ass about a little white baby. I'm sorry, man. It just wouldn't
somebody
happen.
left their kid.
You would have
All
such
facts.
a bad perception
All
of
facts.
people.
If anything, it would just make him like white people less. He'd be like, wow, like that's a white people thing to do. Leave their kid on a boat.
He wouldn't be like, you know what? I'm gonna teach this baby how to read and write and how to play and sing. Like I was just like, what? I was like, what is up? Like that's the
It's
most
all
forgiving black man I've ever seen in my life.
In that period of time.
That mess tripped me all the way out. I said no. I said he been whipped too. I said no.
Yeah, the way I was kind of buying it, but once he showed the whips on his back, I was like, nah, bro. You lost.
You know what? Actually, you think about this. Actually, let's get into that. How to do that scene correctly is the captain finds the kid and raises him.
Would have made way more sense. Or
Way
even
more
the
sense.
black
And then
guy,
he would've
even the
been
black
piano
guy
player.
raising him, I would have been okay with it if like they had shown him as like a nice guy. Like I felt like the guy was kind of like
Later,
a
he
meathead.
goes down and meets the crew when he's like,
Yeah,
12,
I feel like he was
13,
such a
and they all like
meathead.
him. They're like, oh, he's cool. That kid's cool. Yeah.
You show the black guy as a humble guy, right? The captain finds the kid. He just falls in love with the kid or whatnot, but he knows that he's the captain. He can't keep full watch over the kid, so he gets.
Well, explains how the kid can learn piano. The captain lets him play with the piano when
Hold
the
on,
band's
hold
not
on,
using it. He's
hold
like,
on,
oh,
hold
you want to play that? Like,
Hold on. So, hold on. I'm gonna get there. So
okay.
the captain put the kid right. He has this meeting with the crew. Like, hey, I found this baby. This baby is I can't give him to the orphanage. You know how the orphanage is, and blah 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 blah. And then there's somebody, maybe that black guy who knows how to play piano, teaches him from youth up, or he's playing.
There we go.
Make him falls asleep, and this
There
kid
we
ends up
go.
falling in love
Someone in
with
the
the
band.
piano, and he learn the piano, and then becomes good to the piano.
There we go. Dude, that's so good.
Piano, and then boom.
Mhm.
That's
Raheem can write a better movie than this. Proven.
Yeah, like even the black guy raising him like would have been fine, but it's just like I don't know. It was really weird that they established like this guy had an issue with white people because he had been whipped and stuff. But he like cared so much for this random little kid. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just super random. If he had been a more humble, super nice guy, it would have been fine. But he was just like so weird. The way he was shouting throughout the ship, like, I'm gonna name this kid
He wasn't humble.
1900. Like, it was just like, what the freak is going on?
900.
That's not a name. It is now. Like, I was like,
It's
what?
all so Italian though. Like every
He
all
didn't
that
sound like
dialogue.
Yoda.
Huh?
He didn't sound like Yoda.
Like falsetto Yoda.
Right?
It was weird, dude. It was weird.
I
Like,
was just like, what am
it
I
just felt like a
watching?
foreign film.
The 1900s of that time, that would not have worked at all from a black.
Not that easily. It wouldn't have worked. I could see them making it work, but it wouldn't have gone that quick. Like that
I
was
like
like
Raheem's
instantly.
idea of the band member training him because there were tons of black people playing music back then.
Yeah, I know. I ain't talking about music aspect. I'm talking about there's too many people who knew what was going on for that to happen. Because that would have been that would have been said to somebody, and somebody would have stepped in, and that child would not have been there.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, those are pretty much my big. And then the super corny piano scene, but it's a fantasy movie. I get or whatever
Fairy tale.
fairy tale movie. I get it.
The first thing I said,
I get it.
maybe I accepted it early on, And I'm just like, this is the ride we're in for.
Right.
Suspended disbelief, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
Like a Disney cartoon or something.
It did feel like a cartoon. The way it was dealt with.
Yeah.
Felt like a really long cartoon.
He said his kids liked it, so
there you go.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
No, my kids.
His kids like him too, you know, like.
Did I mention that this movie makes me think of my deceased grandmother? Do you guys feel bad? Do you guys feel bad now? After all that mocking,
no one's gonna attack you.
I'm kidding.
For your rating.
I'm glad you guys all had fun and you had this little moment together where you mocked.
I had a blast watching it. I did. Actually, weirdly, I did.
I would feel bad if it was like a movie you loved before this. Then maybe I'll feel bad, but no.
I wouldn't.
No, you shouldn't feel bad.
No,
I did. You guys bring up valid points. I like the fact that we all didn't like the ending.
It was stupid.
Yeah, it was really dumb.
There could have been something better and more happy. Like why are we throwing a tragedy? And this doesn't need a tragic ending.
I'm going to sit in a boat and die because I don't know how to live.
Yeah.
Make up some dumb excuse for it.
Okay.
Streets don't end, music does.
About the ending. It's funny.
Also, I did want to say something about that. When he said that, he's like, "Oh, the world doesn't end." I'm like, "It does." Like, I mean, you'll end up where you started, right? In the same exact way as an octave, musically. Right. You idiot! Like, it's identical.
Yeah.
If you walk all the way around the earth, it's the same thing as playing an entire octave. It's you stupid piece of crap. Like, I was so mad about that rationale. I was like, "That's wrong," but okay.
Well, that's what I said about that part. I liked the philosophy that they were going through on it, like just kind of doing the what if scenario. But I didn't like the way it ended up.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. The bigger friend should have been like, "Oh man, that's so sad."
Right. Like, you're dumb. We're gonna go with
me, idiot.
Nobody cares.
You're coming with me. I got your record. I put it back together. We're gonna go to that girl and we're gonna give her this record and we're gonna say hi to her dad.
Right.
End of story.
You can
don't be afraid to kiss her when she's awake.
Yeah.
We're gonna try that. We're gonna try that on for size and see how it sticks.
Yes.
New ending. We did it.
Yeah, she wasn't not digging him, right?
No, I mean, she was okay about it.
Yeah.
He had an opportunity there. He would jump on that.
On the cheek. Yeah.
He was like 13 and she kissed him.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Okay, so ratings.
Ratings. Yep.
The last movie I said I won't give anything a 9 that I have not seen twice and does not know had replay value.
Right.
I wanted to watch this movie a second time, but I rented it. It's only up for 2 days. That's one of the reasons I listened to the soundtrack today.
Yeah, nice.
Listen to the soundtrack made me move from an 8 to a 9.
Wow. It's so good, isn't it? It's so good. It almost makes up for the movie. It really
great
does.
Soundtrack.
It's amazing. It's I'm hard pressed to think of one that can like rival it. It's like so good.
And you know how when you're familiar with the soundtrack, sometimes it makes you enjoy the movie better because like just knowing the theme and how the music goes, like any song, the more you know it, the more you're familiar with it, you know where it's going.
Right. You're waiting for that part.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. That's real.
I think that watching this movie, if the music's awesome right off the bat, it's going to get better as you listen to it, and it's going to match up to the movie. So I think it has a lot of, for me, would have a lot of replay value. If it was easy to find, it's like you got to rent it every time for $2 and you want to see it. I'm curious how much they took out of the shortened version. It's so weird. Anyways,
I would imagine it's a lot of the conversations with the shopkeeper. Those were so arbitrary.
It might be all. There's a lot in the beginning too with the whole America stuff that really dragged.
Oh yeah.
Like they probably shortened that up.
They're like anyway.
So 9, going 9.
You're giving it a 9.
Nice. Yeah. Dang, you really like it.
I mean, if you guys need any more proof that music has an effect on Jared,
oh man,
like I don't know what to tell you.
I am legit 9, bro.
Hey man, people like what they like.
Your 9.
What are you giving it, Raheem?
All right, your rating, Raheem.
Well, I have a question for Jared. Though, like, so if a movie is completely trash, but yet the soundtrack is a 10, you give it a 9?
I saw it as a fairy tale from the beginning.
Here's the thing about Jared. if he's watching a movie as good as No Country for Old Men and it has no soundtrack, and he doesn't like it. But if he watches a movie as bad as this and the soundtrack is good, he likes it.
That's one reason. Another reason why I take a step back from a movie, because I might be completely emotionally invested right after a movie, and then I realize 2 or 3 days later, then I'm like, whatever. I didn't really feel that way.
I was in the moment. I just pillow talk.
I do. I get caught up in the moment, and that's why I like.
I learned something new from Jared. That's new. That's a new personality trait from Jared. And
if stuff gets replay value, and I think that this does for me.
So
it was
as our friendship will go, I'm gonna start playing you some really good music, so you can give me a 9 as a friend.
Raheem's personality sucks, but man, he plays some good music.
But dude, his music taste makes him it makes up for it.
I give Raheem a 9 out of 10.
From now on, bro.
But it's just because he likes stuff that I like.
Well, the music pushed it up from an 8 to a 9 to me. So I already gave it an 8 before the music.
All right, so rating.
I already told you it was trash, but I'm giving it a 5.
Okay.
My reason I'm giving it a 5, I would have gave it maybe a 3 because just the music alone, right? But that music don't make it music. I think it is a music adds to the theme of the home music. I agree with that, but it's not the girth of the movie. What makes the movie is the writing, the flow of the movie, and the acting. Those 3 elements, to me, you don't have to have music at all. If you have those 3 elements that flows well, it's a perfect movie if you do it well. Oh yeah, I'll say 5 mainly because my kids really loved it. Like my kids loved it from start to finish.
It's gonna get lower than that,
even though they get called out every single cuss word that was in the film.
Bad.
They literally
what is he saying?
They called it all the way out, but especially in the beginning.
It
was like, come on, man. It was like extra. Like y'all did all this extra for no reason. Extra F-bomb for no reason.
That's Italians, man. They're extra.
I guess so. But curse like a sailor, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
I gave it a 5 because of them, mainly because they enjoyed it. They watched it all the way through. They didn't even want to leave the room. I said, okay.
So I do it. They're like, what happens to him? Oh, that's cute.
I told them it's time to go. I'm about to do my podcast. I was like, well, let me finish it. I was still watching it, and this is why.
It's not done yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a 6. I didn't like the movie very much, but I liked so much about how the movie was done that it was like, I could almost see this film getting shown in film classes about early advanced camera work, early modern camera work.
I could see that.
So I'll give it a 6.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a 5. I thought it was pretty garbage, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Like I said from the beginning, sorry, not sorry.
No, man, it is what it is. I mean, I didn't know what to expect going into it, and I was just like, oh my god. The score was great. There's no denying that. The score was phenomenal.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah. Set work and camera work are good, but other than that, I mean the story itself, most of the acting and
acting was
the
weird.
Plot of it was super weird.
The acting was weird. Seeing Tim Roth deliver weird lines and have to pull it off was really bizarre.
Because
it's just like a pinata tonight.
I was saying, he didn't know what he was walking.
Jared just sitting in the corner with his 9.
Oh, I like
you guys back up. Back away from my 9.
It's gonna happen sometimes, dude. We're gonna be alone every once in a while on a movie, man. It's gonna happen.
Jared was attracted to the music, and I cannot fault him for that.
I was too, though.
Perfect. The music was perfect. It really was. So I can't fault him for that. So
we all kind of have that thing though about it. Jared's always about music. Ross seems to be more about the story to make sure it makes sense. Izzy is more I feel like making sure the movie really does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
The characters are who they are, and I'm obviously a big visual guy. Yeah. I mean, we all kind of have our thing, so
we do.
4 takes.
That's nice. It's actually it's actually legit 4 takes. That's funny. Yeah.
We will see you guys next week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take it as always. The link, Command 4 Takes. We'll pull up the link tree for all our accounts: YouTube, Spotify, each one of our Twitters.
I need to get
4 Takes Twitter.
too.
So
Stay
You guys have a good one, all right?
Washington.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you're in Washington, or in the Pacific Northwest, man, don't burn up tomorrow.
Yeah, we
All right,
might be
you
dead
guys.
next week.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
that's
We
all.
might not even be here.
3 of us might die.
Good
All right,
night.
you guys. We'll take you guys. See you guys.
That's all, y'all.
What is up, Four Takers? Jared here. I just want to give you a way that you can access our content without giving you a bunch of Twitter account addresses and Facebook account addresses and all that. It is one very important link that you need to remember to see all of that Four Takes has to offer. If you want to listen to our podcasts by itself, if you want to watch us while you listen, if you want to check out all 3 of our very distinct different types of videos that we have under our playlists on YouTube, that's there. If you want to join in on the conversation live via David's Twitch on Monday nights, 8 o'clock Pacific time, that link will be there. If you want to pick the next movie that we do, we're going to do a viewer's pick monthly. That would be through our Facebook or our Twitter accounts. That will be there. If you want to monetarily contribute to us, that will be there. If you want to just check us out and see what we're doing in our everyday life and watch Izzy and David play video games, chat with them personally. If you want to watch me sing dorky Mandalorian parody videos and hang out with my granddaughter and do all sorts of goofy skits, that will be there. Everything is there, and it's under one address that you need to remember. It is Linktree/4 takes. Now, the important thing is that there is a dot between the tr.ee. It is linktree.ee/ no, that's confusing. linktr.ee/4 takes. Enjoy the show and check that out.